I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Ah. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I am the Caramel Critic, and today we have 13 Easter eggs from WandaVision. Before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell just so you're notified when I release new videos. So, we had a great episode 7. Each episode gets better and better, and we got a lot of revelations in this one. So in this episode, it seems that Wanda, she's had enough. She is just over everything that's been going on. She doesn't want to get out of bed. She just doesn't care. She even tells her boys that she feels like everything's meaningless right now. So our first Easter egg, sitcom influences. This week's episode is definitely influenced by Modern Family, from the talking head parts to the score within the episode itself. And the theme song also sounds a lot like The Office, which also has talking head segments as well. And I may be thinking a little too deep into this, but I thought maybe since they used the Office theme song, that maybe this was like a hint at the Office star John Krasinski's arrival as Reed Richards. But I may be thinking a little too much into this. I know a lot of fans really want him and his wife Emily Blunt to be Mr. and Mr. Fantastic, so only time will tell. Easter egg number 2, the plot thickens. Darcy was able to find out that S.W.O.R.D. has apparently been looking to rebuild Vision, which is how Hayward was able to track Vision's body within the Hex. This is clearly a major violation of Vision's will, which stipulated he never wanted to be remade in the event of his death. He didn't want to be a weapon. So we have no idea what Hayward really wants to do with his body. Yes, he was trying to rebuild it, but what is he trying to do with it? There are some speculation, some theories out there that maybe Hayward is really Ultron in disguise, or he's trying to rebuild an Ultron version or something, but we just don't know at this point. Easter egg number 3, you're quiet, Agnes. Billy can hear people's thoughts so far, but he's unable to hear any of Agnes' thoughts. He tells Wanda earlier in the episode that things are just too loud. He can basically hear the whole town and the agony that they're going through. But he's able to notice that Agnes isn't going through any psychic pain like the rest of the Westview residents. And we'll see why he couldn't hear her later on. Easter egg number 4, superhero landing.
She's gonna do superhero landing. Wait for it. Superhero landing! Yeah, that's really hard on your knees.
In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, someone landing in the superhero pose is basically the visual indication for someone being a superhero. And as soon as Monica passes through the Hex in this episode, she lands on the other side in a superhero landing. So we see that this last trip through the Hex has given her full-blown superhuman powers. Monica discovers she is now able to perceive the flow of energy around Westview. And when Wanda knocks Monica to the ground, she manages to hit the perfect superhero landing. And we get to see energy crackles around her. Now in the comics, Monica has gone by many different code names, including Captain Marvel. So we don't know for sure which one she's going to adopt. Photon, Spectrum, or Pulsar. Easter egg number 5, the missing twins. Wanda needed a break, so Agnes took the twins to her house. We finally get to see her house. So when Wanda goes to Agnes' house after her confrontation with Monica, she asks, where are the twins? Because she can't find them. They've completely disappeared. So in the comic Avengers West Coast storyline, the twins began disappearing and reappearing at random times. And this was because the twins didn't actually exist. It turns out that they were only physically present when Wanda consciously created and maintained them with her powers. That could be what's happening here, but I still feel like the twins are real. They have independent thoughts. They seem to be suspicious of what's been going on in the town. Also, when Wanda turns to look at both Senor Scratchy and a green bug crawling on Agatha's window curtains, I thought maybe the twins got turned into these creatures, but only time will tell. Easter egg number 6, Nexus commercial. The commercials are usually focused on Wanda's past experience of trauma, but this one directly references something called a nexus. It's a commercial for an antidepressant for when the world doesn't revolve around you. Or does it? This is very reminiscent of those commercials we see all the time on TV that's for some sickness or illness that someone has. And the side effects are always crazy. May include suicidal thoughts, may include death, may make your symptoms worse. And we see that this episode is no different. The side effects include feeling your feelings, confronting your truth, seizing your destiny, and possibly more depression. So the confronting your truth line is very interesting because we know that Wanda has basically checked out mentally, and this is why this whole hex bubble has been created, because she couldn't deal with the reality of not only losing her brother, but also Vision. But we also see when Wanda is talking to the camera, she doesn't understand what's going on, and then we hear a voice behind the camera asking, do you think this is what you deserved?
Do you think maybe this is what you deserve?
What? You're not supposed to talk.
So is this part of the truth that she needs to confront? This could also be a reference to nexus beings, people who have powers that can affect probability and literally alter the flow of the universe time stream. Both Wanda and Vision are nexus beings. And this is also probably a reference to the nexus of all realities, which is a sort of gateway point between dimensions from which all universes in the multiverse can be accessed. And we know that the upcoming Doctor Strange sequel, Multiverse of Madness, is all about the multiverse. So I cannot wait for that to come out. Easter egg number 7, changes. Repeated exposures to the hex itself was transforming Monica's cells, and her decision to push through it once again had lasting effects, as we see. Her crossing over was so cool. I loved that scene. It was probably the second best scene in this episode to me. We see Monica splintering apart into different versions of herself before pulling herself back together by sheer force of will. And we get to hear voices that represent her memories, including a few lines of dialogue from her mother in Captain Marvel. And she also hears comments from both Carol and Nick Fury. He tells her to learn to glow like your Aunt Carol, which is foreshadowing the superpowers Monica will gain. Easter egg number 8, birth date. We see into the intro different versions of Wanda's name, and there's a license plate with her name on it with a number above it, 122822. Which is the beloved Stan Lee's birthday, December 28th, 1922. So that was a great way to include him in this episode. Easter egg number 9, it was Agatha all along. There has been so many theories as to who is really controlling Wanda, and I've been saying all along that it had to be Agnes. So finally at the end of this episode, it's revealed that Agnes is actually Agatha Harkness. In the comics, she sometimes had ambiguous motives, but she's never really been a full-on evil person, and she was actually Wanda's mentor in the comics. So it's possible that she's working for someone else and someone else is pulling the strings. We know that Agnes's husband Ralph still hasn't appeared on screen, and I really do think he's going to show up at some point during the season. So I'm guessing that he's the true mastermind. But we also get the best theme song that's been in the series so far when Agatha is revealed. It's in the theme of The Monsters, which was a classic TV show, and we get to see all the havoc that Agatha has created. And poor Sparky, she did kill him. I suspected, but I'm like, no, they wouldn't kill the dog. We see that Agatha was the one who made the magic happen in the magic show from a previous episode. We see that she also is the one who conjured up Pietro. See that she is the one who made Herb glitch when he was cutting into the wall. So she's been the one creating all this havoc. I also suspect that she's the one that's causing everything to be glitching and reverting back into all the timelines Wanda has created. Easter egg number 10, foreshadowing. There were so many nods to Agatha pulling the wool over Wanda's eyes. One of the best ones I saw was the delivery man who watches Wanda and Monica's fight and then continues on to make his delivery at Agnes's house. He's wearing a Presto delivery uniform, and he also has a rabbit logo on his hat. So also a rabbit appears many times in this series. We know magicians usually make their big reveal by pulling rabbits out of their hat. There's also been a theory about that delivery guy because he's shown up quite a few times when Agnes was around. I'm not yet sure what part he plays in all of this. Easter egg number 11, the basement. Agatha's basement looks like a dimensional plane called the Witch's Road in the Scarlet Witch comic. It's more or less a dungeon full of what looks like occult relics, but you can clearly see a book of dark magic glowing on a stand. It looks similar to the book of Cagliostro from Doctor Strange. But going back to the nexus of all realities, it was first introduced in 1972's Fear number 11, when an incantation was read from a similar looking book of magic. A portal was created and the destruction of the book led to most of the reality warping effects being reversed. So this book may be the key to what Agnes is doing, and if it's destroyed, maybe her hold on Wanda will be broken. This could also be the MCU's version of the Darkhold, which was a spellbook containing all sorts of magical and demonic knowledge. And it's also said that the Darkhold book is what created the first vampire, and we know that they are doing a Blade movie starring Mahershala Ali. Easter egg number 12, Yo Magic. So when Wanda goes into the basement, there are vines and purple glowing things all on the wall covering it. It looks like it's pulsing also. Now, the fact that whatever this seems to be taking over the basement, it makes me think of the Yo Magic commercial from the week before, which implied that someone or something is perhaps feeding off of Wanda's powers. I do feel like Agnes may be trying to use Wanda's powers, and that's why she was manipulating things the way she was. And Easter egg number 13, post-credit. We finally get a mid-credit scene in the middle of the 20-minute credits. Monica makes it to Agatha's house and encounters Quicksilver, and her eyes start glowing purple, just like Wanda's did when Agatha used her magic on her. So it's possible that she is also under Agatha's spell. Although, if you look at it slowly, it looks like as soon as she opens the doors to the basement, her eyes are already glowing purple before Pietro even confronts her. So we won't know anything until next week's episode, of course. But this was a great episode. I cannot wait for the next one. We have just a few more episodes to go, and hopefully all will be revealed and we will get to see some great connections to the upcoming movies. And also I hear that we will finally get to see who this engineer is Monica Rambeau mentioned. I've heard all kinds of theories. I've heard Reed Richards, I've heard Beast, so who knows. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will be back for my next WandaVision Easter egg video. Also keep a lookout for my movie reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.